You're basically saying you're a liar. You misrepresent who you are, and note the consequence has been terrible for Blake and Ryan in terms of people following them.
Blake Lively is spiraling, and there's no coming back from this. She thought she could manipulate the narrative, but the public just gave her the most brutal reality check of her career.
That's control, that's selfishness, that's entitlement. This woman is a monster.
Hollywood is distancing itself. Fans are turning their backs, and her follower count dropping at a record-breaking pace. Blake went from Hollywood sweetheart to the industry's biggest liability overnight. Once admired, now exposed, her control freak antics have finally caught up with her. And the worst part? The man she tried to destroy, Justin Baldoni, is walking away as the real winner.
This is insane. What are you talking about? She genuinely is not aware of how insane she sounds.
While Blake's world crumbles, he's rising above the drama, proving that sometimes the truth speaks for itself. Blake Lively's reputation is in free fall, and social media isn't letting her catch a break. But if there was one moment that proved she's completely losing control, it was the Hollywood Reporter cover on February 22nd. What should have been a routine magazine feature turned into a full-blown disaster. The now infamous image of her launching a slingshot at Justin Baldoni couldn't be more ironic. It's exactly what she tried to do to him. But instead of taking him down, the move backfired in the worst way possible. Now, she's the one facing relentless backlash.
There's a lot of comments that she puts in here that you're just like, why would you want to take over someone's movie? The outfits in this end are so out of touch. No, we don't want to watch bullies like Blake.
She can play the victim all she wants, but the numbers don't lie. Fans aren't falling for her act anymore, and Hollywood is washing its hands of her mess. Hollywood can try to spin the narrative all it wants, but at the end of the day, the fans decide who wins, and right now, Blake Lively is getting obliterated.
That's insane, and that's crazy, and this is a reason why I think in the future people are just not going to work with her, because it's starting to add up. People are realizing that this is a pathology.
The numbers are making it painfully clear. Since September, Blake has lost a staggering 864,000 followers, the biggest drop in 5 years. Over the last 30 days alone, she's down 397,000, and February was even worse, with another 363,393 vanishing. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, he's only gaining. He's up by 230,000 since this all started, and just last month, he racked up nearly 196,000 more.
Over the last 30 days, she has lost 397,000 subscribers, okay? That is not a small amount. If you similarly go over to Ryan Reynolds, he's lost almost the same amount, 1,000 more than her, 398,000 subscribers.
And Blake isn't the only one taking a hit. Ryan Reynolds is also getting dragged into the mess, losing 398,000 followers. The public is making their stance crystal clear they're done with Blake, and everyone backing her.
While Team Blake Lively may think they have the upper hand, sources say she has no idea what's coming regarding her battle with Justin Baldoni.
At first, people actually believed her, but when Baldoni fired back with cold, hard receipts, everything changed.
When you weigh it against Justin Baldoni, look at his statistics. Over the last 30 days, he has received 206, or you could almost say 207,000 additional followers.
Even Mark Porar, CEO of QR Code Generator Pro, confirmed just how fast public opinion flipped the second Baldoni exposed the truth. This was never some feminist Me Too movement. This was just Blake Lively playing the ultimate power game and losing spectacularly. And now, she's drowning in backlash with no way out. YouTube bloggers, T-channels, and independent creators are tearing Blake Lively apart. And there's nothing she or her PR team can do to stop it. Millions of views are racking up daily, dissecting her downfall in real time. She thought she could play the victim, and that everyone would blindly rally behind her. Instead, she's being laughed at.
There's a version of this where Justin Baldoni was just Michael Scott in The Office, where he's just saying inappropriate things, but not with any ill will. But Blake Lively, much more different culturally, more about the power and thinking that this is about the feminist Me Too movement. How dare you do this?
If the fans have turned on her, then Hollywood is fully done with her. Because if there's one thing the industry hates, it's an actor who causes chaos on set. And Blake Lively? She's just been exposed as one of the worst. The most shocking part? She wasn't even the director of It Ends With Us, but she acted like she ran the entire production. This wasn't her movie, yet she forced script changes, overrode the director's decisions, and took over like she was the second coming of Steven Spielberg.
So I found that incredibly telling. Hidden in a little footnote, her protection that, well, I was told they were lawfully obtained. Yikes. Big yikes.
And here's the kicker. She had no real authority to do any of this. She was just an actress and an executive producer. But somehow, in her mind, that meant she could hijack the entire project and turn it into the Blake Lively show. And because of this, people were terrified to challenge her. Crew members and co-stars allegedly kept their mouths shut because they knew the truth. If Blake Lively didn't like you, your Hollywood career could be over.
I will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have because the truth should be out there.
For years, she sold the perfect America's sweetheart image, but behind the scenes, she was a manipulative tyrant. And now the mask has slipped. It's not just the crew distancing themselves. Other Hollywood stars don't even want to be associated with her anymore.
They're showing a little ankle, but not the whole leg, if you know what I mean. I'm sure she wouldn't approve of that reference. Too sexist.
Jenny Slate and several unnamed actresses were allegedly pressured into supporting her fake narrative. But here's the problem for Blake. Her PR machine is crumbling, and even her so-called Hollywood friends are backing away. The Hollywood Reporter cover was the final nail in the coffin. It wasn't just a funny illustration. It was a statement. It exposed her as the aggressor, not the victim. And when she tried to spin it as sexist, nobody bought it. That was the moment the industry turned its back on her for good. Because let's be real, Hollywood doesn't care about morality. It cares about power.
That's control, that's selfishness, that's entitlement. This woman is a monster.
And the moment someone becomes a liability, they're tossed aside without a second thought. Right now, Blake Lively is the biggest liability in the industry.
So she's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud.
Ryan Reynolds and Blake can try to spin the narrative all they want, but it's too late. The damage is done. People finally see her for who she really is, and there's no coming back from this. She's not just losing fans, she's losing Hollywood itself. Studios aren't willing to take the risk.
She's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd.
Who would hire an actress who hijacks productions, overrides directors, and throws tantrums when things don't go her way? Blake had it all. A dream career, a so-called perfect Hollywood marriage, powerful industry connections, and a PR machine working overtime to protect her image. But she got too arrogant. She thought she was untouchable. Now, she's watching everything she built come crashing down.
She claims he sexual harassed her, and then by the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement, and Ryan Reynolds turned on him too. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her.
While Blake Lively's career is going up in flames, Justin Baldoni is doing the exact opposite. Instead of fighting online battles or begging Hollywood for sympathy, he's out in Hawaii, surfing, and letting the truth do the work for him. And it is working.
Witnesses are staying anonymous. They're terrified of threats and bullying. It's a very neutral and interesting piece.
Blake, on the other hand, is spiraling in real time. Every desperate move she makes just digs her deeper into this mess. But the biggest blow came on February 22nd, when the Hollywood Reporter dropped a cover that sent her completely over the edge. The illustration? Pure gold. It showed Blake launching a slingshot at Baldoni, which is exactly what she has been doing behind the scenes. But instead of facing reality, she played the only card she had left, the victim. She cried sexism, hoping that would erase the fact that she tried to sabotage Baldoni's career.
Now the Hollywood Reporter has seemingly outed the two actresses' names. They're pretty much being bullied to respond.
But here's the thing. Nobody is buying it anymore. Hollywood, the media, and even her own fans are turning against her. The more she tries to control the narrative, the worse it gets. Meanwhile, Baldoni doesn't even have to lift a finger. The truth is speaking for itself. And Hollywood is finally seeing Blake for who she really is. The backlash was instant and brutal. Social media wasted no time dragging Blake Lively for having a full meltdown over a cartoon. This is the same woman who constantly preaches about being a strong, independent feminist, yet she lost it over an illustration. The hypocrisy is unreal.
Even if Justin was too huggy or whatever the heck, or said she was sexy, none of this warrants this. And you still have to atone for what you did.
But here's the real kicker. This wasn't just about a magazine cover. The actual article exposed something far worse for Blake. It completely shattered her carefully crafted narrative by revealing the real reason behind Justin Baldoni's behavior. Turns out it wasn't harassment or abuse like she wanted people to believe. It was a cultural difference. rooted in Baldoni's faith, something Hollywood clearly didn't understand. So what did Blake do? She took something completely innocent and twisted it into a scandal just to take him down. And now the truth is hitting her like a wrecking ball.
You're admitting that you go in there and you're like, yeah, I'd like to be an actor, and then you take over everything. I mean, just imagine taking this out of the context of celebrities, and you call a plumber to come fix your toilet.
Now, Blake, allegedly, according to these sources, and there's a lot of stuff in here, whole piece is worth a read. Now, Blake has shared with friends, allegedly, that she considers this a fight that's bigger than her.
If she thought she could manipulate her way through this legal battle, she clearly underestimated Justin Baldoni. Because the second he fought back, her entire case started crumbling faster than a low-budget movie set. Now, let's talk about the most humiliating part of this whole mess. Blake Lively actually tried to erase key text messages from her lawsuit to make her case seem stronger. But there's just one problem. Justin Baldoni kept everything, every single message, and now her sneaky little edits have been exposed for the world to see. Legal analysts are ripping her case apart, pointing out contradictions, inconsistencies, and straight-up manipulative omissions. She really thought she could rewrite reality, but now she's being exposed as a liar on the biggest stage possible. And then there's Brian Friedman, Baldoni's ruthless, no-nonsense lawyer who is absolutely dismantling her accusations piece by piece. Friedman isn't here to play Hollywood PR games. He's here to win, and so far, that's exactly what he's doing.
I want to go through some of these pieces because, hear me out, here it is. So, from the outset, the feud's been framed as the newest chapter in Hollywood's ongoing fight for gender equality.
You're basically saying you're a liar. You misrepresent who you are. Maybe that has something to do with why you're now being sued for promissory fraud, because you're admitting that you go in there.
Every single move Blake makes, he's already 10 steps ahead. Her last-minute amended complaint was nothing more than a desperate attempt to stay in the fight. Instead of providing actual evidence, she doubled down on vague accusations that mean absolutely nothing. She really thought no one would notice that she had 0 receipts. But at this point, her entire legal strategy is nothing short of a complete disaster. Now, Hollywood lawyers are openly comparing this case to Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. But there's one huge difference. Blake Lively doesn't have the public on her side. She thought she could weaponize the Me Too movement, but instead, she's become the new Amber Heard. The entire internet has turned against her. And once that happens, there's no coming back.
One likely to be remembered as the spark that ignited the next chapter of the Me Too movement. On the other side is a billionaire producer, a novice filmmaker, director, and a small Baha'i, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I think it's Baha'i employees who believe they are simply living up to the moral code of their faith.
While Blake is scrambling to control the damage, Ryan Reynolds is out here making things even worse. His attempt at humor during the SNL 50th anniversary special completely backfired. When Tina Fey jokingly asked how he was doing, he responded with an awkward, "Great! Why? What have you heard? Yeah, bad move."
Oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds. Hey. How's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
That joke did not land the way he thought it would. Instead of downplaying the controversy, it made him look dismissive, even tone-deaf. Some people laughed, but the majority dragged him for making light of serious accusations. He tried to turn this into a joke, but all he did was bring even more attention to the disaster unfolding around him and Blake. Ryan Reynolds has spent years perfecting his Hollywood's favorite husband image, but now that carefully crafted reputation is starting to crack. No matter how hard he tries to protect Blake Lively, the reality is clear. She's been exposed as manipulative and power-hungry, and everyone sees it.
And there's something about this story that kind of violates our safety in a way of feeling like people were nice and then realizing that they were totally behaving like psychopaths and were doing something taking it so far as Ryan Reynolds did.
Every attempt Ryan makes to shield her only drags him further into the mess. Hollywood is backing away because nobody wants to be associated with a scandal this toxic. And when Ryan's brand starts to suffer, he's going to realize just how big of a mistake it was to stand by Blake's side. And here's the funniest part. Blake and Ryan's Hollywood allies are vanishing. At first, a few celebrities tried to show support, but now they're scrambling to distance themselves.
He's not a party to our case here in New York. That's what Brian Friedman did. He's just a savage. Brian Friedman is actually my spirit animal. He just slaps her down. I don't know what else to say. Probably because he probably doesn't take kind to just being manipulated. You know, you should just been like, I want an extension because I don't have any proof.
Nobody wants to defend a sinking ship. Blake's entire world is crumbling. Her legal case, falling apart. Her PR strategy, a complete failure. Her husband, taking losses left and right. Hollywood, already moving on. She thought she could control the narrative. Instead, she's just getting exposed over and over again. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni is just sitting back, watching the chaos unfold, and it's becoming crystal clear that he was the real victim all along.
This publicity stunt last night where they went on SNL and Ryan Reynolds made this silly joke, this really silly joke.
Blake Lively set out to destroy his career, but in the end, she only ended up ruining her own. Baldoni doesn't even have to lift a finger, has winning this entire scandal without breaking a sweat. And that's exactly why Blake is spiraling into full-blown crisis mode. While she's scrambling, making desperate moves to salvage what's left of her reputation, Baldoni is literally relaxing in Hawaii, completely unbothered. And honestly, that says it all. While Blake is losing followers, getting dragged by the media, and desperately trying to convince Hollywood she's still relevant, Justin Baldoni is literally surfing in Hawaii, letting the truth and public opinion do all the work for him. And the best part? It's working.
And it's it's SNL 50-year anniversary. And, or Saturday night, whatever. Ryan Reynolds stands up and she's like, how's it going? He's like, good. Why? What have you heard? And it was all, ha, 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 ha.
The more Blake scrambles, the more she exposes herself. Meanwhile, Baldoni looks calm, mature, and completely unbothered. He hasn't played the PR game. He hasn't run to the press, and he hasn't fed into the drama. He's just letting the facts speak for themselves. And now, Hollywood is taking his side. People are finally seeing what really happened. Baldoni wasn't the villain. He was the one who got manipulated, lied about, and nearly had his entire career destroyed by one of the most powerful couples in Hollywood.
I didn't like him. Just gonna be straight with you. I don't fucking like him. So they're both equally repulsive.
Exactly. I think it's so telling how confident she is to just say, I have no qualms lying to the director, taking control of their movie, pulling the rug from them. Like, oh my God.
Blake and Ryan did everything they could to erase him. They cut him out of his own movie's marketing, shut him out of promotions, and made sure he was barely involved in the press cycle for a film he co-produced. They tried to bury him, humiliate him, paint him as some creepy, inappropriate co-star. But now, the truth is out, and the tables have completely turned. Blake Lively thought she could control the narrative, but Justin Baldoni's silence has done more damage to her than any statement ever could. Hollywood isn't falling for her act anymore.
Well, yeah, that's because that's what you did. Knowingly, you knowingly admitted that's what you do. They want an actress, they hire an actress, they pay you to be an actress, that's your job. But then you do exactly what Justin's accusing you of.
The industry sees her for exactly what she is, a manipulative, power-hungry actress who sabotaged her own career out of sheer arrogance. Meanwhile, Baldoni's reputation has only gotten stronger. Studios aren't blacklisting him. Directors aren't running from him. If anything, he's coming out of this looking more professional, composed, and respected than ever. But Blake? She's done.
She wrested his movie away from him and decided to try to hurt him with petty, made-up, out-of-context complaints when he pushed back even in the mildest way.
And here's the hard truth: Hollywood doesn't care about morality, ethics, or even justice. It cares about power, money, and reputation. And right now, Blake Lively is the biggest liability in the industry. No studio wants to work with an actress who hijacks productions, ignores directors, and throws tantrums when things don't go her way. The way she played the victim when everything unraveled only made things worse.
And imagine if Justin had just known this, if this clip had gone viral before to avoid this whole mess. I'm just the entitlement of her that she thinks this is okay and like proudly displaying us. We're women, so we can just lie and cheat and steal our way into control these big movies.
The industry is watching closely, and the message is crystal clear. Blake Lively isn't worth the risk. And if you think this is just some online spectacle, think again. Behind the scenes, industry insiders are already distancing themselves. Studios are quietly reconsidering their involvement with Blake, and some of her upcoming projects are either being delayed or shelved entirely. Because let's be real, who in their right mind would gamble on her after this disaster?
That I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor.
But here's the most shocking part. Blake doesn't even seem to grasp what she's admitting. She was supposed to be the star of It Ends With Us. Yet somehow, she turned it into the biggest catastrophe of her career. Her reputation as a control freak is now set in stone, and Hollywood executives aren't going to just brush that off. No one wants to deal with an actress who thinks she runs the show, overrides directors, and derails productions with her ego. And now, she's learning the hard way.
Because I don't think she even realizes what she's admitting. Sometimes they'd let me and sometimes they wouldn't. And then she goes further and says, I would just lie to them in the audition process and make them think I'm just an actress to do what they want.
Hollywood moves on fast, and once you're labeled as a problem, there's no coming back. And let's talk about the real red flag. Her own industry is backing away. Hollywood thrives on connections, and for years, Blake and Ryan were at the center of the A-list social circle. But now, people are creating distance. No one wants to be linked to a sinking ship, and Blake's career is sinking faster than the Titanic.
Blake Lively is caught in old footage, revealing that yes, her secret plan is to always take control of the movies and lie to the directors.
Her PR disaster is spiraling out of control, and Hollywood elites are treating her like a brand too toxic to touch. Even Taylor Swift, one of her closest celebrity friends, has stayed completely silent on this whole mess. And let's be real, if Taylor isn't rushing to her defense, you know it's bad. Because here's the harsh truth. Blake isn't just losing fans, she's losing Hollywood itself. Blake thought she had Hollywood and social media wrapped around her finger, but now the script has flipped, and she's the one being exposed.
And what it sounds like is that she's not interested in being a part of a team. She just wants to own it all. And that's fine. If that is your method of working, then do that. But you have to create your own projects. You have to put yourself in that position that you are in charge, not take it from somebody else.
For years, she built the perfect PR image. The effortlessly stylish, charming actress with a fairy tale marriage to Ryan Reynolds. The relatable Hollywood sweetheart. But now, everyone sees the truth. Her carefully curated persona, completely shattered.
And it's not enough. You don't even get to come to the premiere. You're not allowed in the premiere. Fine, but he goes in the basement when I show up. I mean, that's not authorship. That's not autonomy. That's control. That's selfishness. That's entitlement. This woman is a monster.
The industry and her own fans are walking away because they're done with the manipulation, the power plays, and the endless PR stunts that have blown up in her face. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni is emerging as the hero, the man who was unfairly smeared, isolated, and almost destroyed until the truth finally came to light. And now, it's Blake Lively who's paying the price.
What is appearing to be such obvious forms of bullying.
Justin Baldoni never had to cry for sympathy. He never had to scream about injustice. He just sat back and let Blake self-destruct. And that's exactly what happened. Hollywood has no patience for actors who manipulate, control, and sabotage their own projects. And this scandal has made one thing painfully clear: Blake Lively is one of the worst. She had every opportunity to handle this with grace. She could have taken accountability, stayed silent, or acted like a professional, but instead she doubled down, played the victim, and spiraled into full-blown crisis mode. Now, her career is hanging by a thread, because this isn't just a PR nightmare. This is the kind of scandal that ends careers. And if Blake doesn't face reality soon, she could lose everything she worked for. Blake Lively thought she could control the narrative. But now, she's watching her entire career go up in flames. She played the victim, twisted the truth, and tried to take down someone else, only to end up destroying herself instead. And the most brutal part? No one is coming to save her. Hollywood has officially washed its hands of Blake Lively. The industry is backing away. Her so-called allies have gone silent, and even her fans are turning on her. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni never needed a PR spin or damage control. He had the truth on his side, and that's why he's winning. Blake's Hollywood reign, it's over. And at this point, the only thing left to see is how much further she'll fall. What do you think? Will Blake manage to make a comeback? Or is this the final nail in her career's coffin? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more breaking celebrity news.